Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976. Disclaimer, Section 107, under critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, your chwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yehuda with the lesson. And yeah, we're just going into this, these laws basically that they're pushing, right? And just yesterday, the Supreme Court voted, right, to basically so the Republican can get control over districts, saying that they can remap out the districts, and basically in predominantly so-called black communities, and then they want to blanket the black community in one thing as one district, when the black community are in different districts. But this is so they can come in and take control. But they're saying this is all legal now. Well, let me go ahead and let this guy kind of break down some of it.
Have major breaking news from the Supreme Court on this morning, Wednesday, April 29th, that could have an impact in the 2026 midterm elections, but definitely will have an impact in 2028, 2030, and 2032. So it's complicated. Let me first say that. It's complicated. I want to try to run through what it all means. Basically, it has to do with whether race can be considered in drawing congressional districts. It has to do with a case out of Louisiana called Louisiana versus Calais. Let's go through first what the court found in this specific instance, and then I want to go bigger in terms of what it all means, because this is a very big deal when it comes to how congressional districts are drawn, which obviously have been a hot button issue since Texas started redrawing congressional lines last summer. All right, so the case in particular is Louisiana versus Calais. And what the court found, this was a 6-3 majority. Basically, the justices appointed by Republican presidents voted for this. The justices voted by Democratic presidents voted against it. 6-3 majority. At issue was the lines, congressional district lines in Louisiana. But it goes back to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and in particular a clause called Section 2 that says essentially that you are not allowed, that race has to be considered in the redrawing of lines, and that you are not allowed to dilute the opportunity of a racial minority to elect and have the power to elect who it wants to in congressional districts. But effectively what it's done is create these majority minority districts in the South, where most of the South is obviously pretty Republican, but there are these enclaves largely built around cities that are majority minority districts that have been drawn to allow racial minorities, usually in the South, African Americans, to elect members, to be the dominant vote in electing members, and they usually elect black members of Congress. Okay. This ruling seems to say that is no longer a thing. That's basically what you need to know, and could have wide-reaching implications, because if you get rid of all the majority-minority districts in the South, you're talking about a likely Republican gain of somewhere between 7 and 12 seats. I'm going to get into all of that. Before I do that, let me just say this. I hope you subscribe. I'm independent. I'm authentic. I'm here every single day. Hit that subscribe button. I'm always trying to explain politics to folks. So, Louisiana versus Calais, the way that 6-3 ruling in favor of people who said you can't use race in the drawing of these districts as a dominant issue. Okay. The conservative justices said the Voting Rights Act, which was put into place in 1965, still is standing. Liberals said that this ruling is effectively the dismantling of the law. The case in question went this way. In 2022, so after the 2020 census, in 2022, Republican lawmakers in Louisiana produced a map that liberals said that this ruling is effectively the dismantling of the law. The case in question went this way. In 2022, so after the 2020 census, in 2022, Republican lawmakers in Louisiana produced a map that packed basically all the black voters in the state into a single district.
Yeah, so you can't do that, right? Because all black voters are not Democrat. There's some Republican, right? There's some even independent. You know what I'm saying? So they just throw you all in a box. See? But that's how I let you know that this place is something else, bro. You know, but you Jakes like to hold on to this place.
Democrats, African-American Democrats, sued. A federal judge agreed with them that under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, that the map that the Republican legislature in Louisiana put in place, making only one black congressional district, one majority-minority district, had diluted the ability of black leaders to elect to have the dominant voice in electing the candidate. Well, in 2024, then, after that ruling, the Republican state legislature drew another map that created two majority-minority black congressional districts. Well, white voters in Louisiana appealed that map, and that's what we've gotten to. That's this ruling. That's Louisiana versus Calais. They said that was an illegal racial gerrymander. That race was the only reason that map was drawn the way it was. And that got us to this ruling, this 6-3 ruling that says...
Yeah, so basically, all that, I'm just going to kind of fast forward to... talks about some of the more important parts. Because basically what it is...
A Democrat. Will that happen in every state in the South? Not clear. A New York Times analysis of the possible impacts of this ruling that was done several months ago said between as many as a dozen majority-minority districts in the South could be eliminated, could be as few as 7, could be as many as 12 or 13. The elimination of those districts will almost certainly mean that they go from Democrat to Republican, right? That it's probably a net Republican 7 to net Republican 12 gain. The question, at least as it relates to right now, is can that be done before the 2026 midterms? As I said, in some states, sure, but in a state like Texas, it's already well past the filing deadline. So putting the map, I think, would be basically impossible. But in 2028, you will see if the states that don't redraw their maps right now, I think you will see them redraw their maps. And in 2030 and 2032, if the necessity of creating majority-minority districts when at all possible is gone entirely, and I think it is, but let's see how this plays out, is gone entirely, you will see all of these southern states that are controlled by Republicans try to draw maps that dilute the black vote and allow them to win more, Republicans to win more seats. It's a very...
Yeah, so there you go. And then the Republicans are running Trump's play, right? Which are bringing in, all the things that's taken over. The rich, the AI, everything that they want. So he's going to go completely Trump being able to do that, and they wipe out they're going to go completely unchecked.
Everywhere you turn, all over social media, people are warning against purchasing a brand new car in the year 2027. And why do I say that? Because like I've warned in the past, AI has now taken over everything. And that includes brand new vehicles in the year 2027. So basically, if you think about it this way, you are no longer in control of your own vehicle. The government is. Have a look at this. Federal surveillance technology becomes mandatory in all new cars by 2027. So basically, every little thing that you do in your own vehicle in the year 2027 will basically be watched and under scrutiny. Take a look at this wild and crazy video for yourself.
Now imagine there was an emergency outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive.
And after seeing that demonstration, how scary is that? Picture that. There's an emergency. You jump into that truck, and all of a sudden that truck does not want to start because you're not fit to drive, even though you could be injured or someone else could be seriously injured, and you just want to get them to a hospital. And to have a better understanding of this law, they also will have the power to listen in on what is actually going on inside of your own vehicle. And it also gives them the power to look inside of your vehicle to see what you're doing. And if you're speeding or driving reckless, it can contact the police as well. And if you happen to be using your cell phone in your hand to, either text or make a phone call or just talk on it in general, AI inside the vehicle will detect this and alert authorities as well. So if this AI technology doesn't scare you enough, listen to this. If the AI in your vehicle deems that you are not safe to drive this vehicle and you're driving reckless or driving too fast, it will automatically pull the vehicle over and shut it down. And the law also states in writing that this technology has to be in place and operating every single time this vehicle is in motion and you get into it. And it all works through AI cameras and AI sensors. So basically, your control and everything you do inside your vehicle is now AI's control. You are no longer in charge. And Ford has become one of the vehicles to patent this technology. And that includes scanning your face, eyes, iris, and fingerprints in real time. And if you're one of those people that likes to engage in criminal activity, it'll run you through a criminal database before you even shift out of park. This thing will also detect panic, emotion, and refuse to let you drive in an emergency. Think about that. And this is not something that just popped out of nowhere. This has been planned for a while. Once again, that's why I tell people, pay attention to what's going on, what's being passed, because it looks like your freedoms to drive just got a little bit more complicated. Let me know.
Exclusion from society. Christian, are you going to be ready? Digital ID must be accepted by U.S. citizens by 2028 or risk exclusion from society. Christian, are you going to be ready? Stand up and...
Yeah, so this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 verse 10. It said, let us oppress the poor and righteous men. See, this is what they're doing, because I notice a lot of people say, don't worry about the presidential election, worry about the elections within your own city and your own state. So basically they're coming to corner the market even on that, right? And then just basically blanket statement the so-called black community, and basically and then basically wipe out your vote, right? Because then they won't mean anything. And whether they bring in someone who looks like them or not, which most likely they will bring in an Edomite, or they might bring in a chocolate covered Edomite, or just a Jake who's down with their agenda, or think that he's down with their agenda. And on the other end, he's going to find out the hard way, right? That these people never loved you, which you should know that by now. But some people, they have this hope. They hope the devil will not be the devil tomorrow, or he could be the devil to them, but just not to me. It's just, you're just so special, right? But that's not the case, right? Because here it is right here. So let us not spare. See, they're not here to spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hair of the age. So they're not talking about the women, the children, the elderly. They don't give a damn, right? And that's ultimately what it's coming down to, because he knows that he has but a short time. So he has to bring this in, right? So that just happened yesterday. I was going to do my lesson yesterday on it, but I got busy. But I'm bringing it today. So it says, let our strength be the law, right, of justice, right? And you're not going to get justice at all. That's the reason why it tells you that they should have a taunting proverb and in Habakkuk, right? They're going to say, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, right? But there ain't going to be any more taunting proverbs anymore. Pretty soon, it's just going to be, boots on the ground, right? People are going to be committing all sorts of atrocities, which that's what they're hoping to do. This whole thing with Trump having this another psyop shooting, right? Because you can't make me believe some Jake, which we can't even walk into a regular convenience store without being stopped, searched, frisked, and everything. But you're gonna make me believe he got into this high-end place with a gun and was able to use it and get out with his life, right? You can't make me believe that. We know that's not reality. You're not dealing with reality, right? So yeah, but it's let let our strength be the law of justice, which you're not going to get justice, but they're going to tell you that ain't this the no, don't it say justice on the building, law and justice? See where this is, you have to go through the course, sir. They used to tell us all the time. You just have to trust the system. Well, the system has not worked for our benefit ever, and there was a time where we couldn't even be jurors, or we couldn't say nothing to the person that accused us, and that's not that long ago. Where a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian could not say anything against a so-called white man, right? But you want me to say, hey, I believe in your law of justice. Nah, not so much. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth, right? Because they say, hey, you're just some poor, poor people with diabetes and gout and this and that and drugs, and you're feeble, you're nothing. Yeah, you produced the world's greatest athletes, even the world's greatest soldiers. The greatest soldiers Esau ever had been is Jake, right? Period. But they're not going to say it like that. They're going to look at it like you're nothing. You're from the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations. You're feeble. So you're not worth keeping, right? Which that's part of the Georgia Guidestones. They only want 500 million people to be left, and they plan on killing off at least 7.5 billion people off the planet, right? Which they got a new spin-off series from the movie The 12 Monkeys, right? And I've been watching that, and basically that's what the dude was saying. He said 7 billion people are going to perish from a contaminant that contaminates the entire planet, right? Yeah, so this is Psalms 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, right? Which is speaking about Yahweh, right? Because this is this thing that they're doing to establish their kingdom forever, right? But the only one who's forever is the Most High, right? And then they're saying they're framing it by law, the law of justice. But the only really true law is the law of the Most High, Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, right? That's the only way you can have a true law, right? And it said, but the friendship with thee, which frameth mischief by law. See, and that's what they do. They do nothing but a bunch of mischief, and then say that it's the law of truth, right? And is it a friend of the Most High? No, it tells you that it's enmity. Friendship of this world is enmity with the Most High, which means an enemy, right? And it says, can a throne of destruction, see, and that's what they're here. They're here to destroy, the righteous path, right? They that's why they said framing it by iniquity, destroying the righteous path, destroying the righteous seed, right? Not even dealing with the actual righteous law, right? That's why it says, come and let us destroy the righteous man, right? So can the throne of destruction be allied with you, right? Can it be the ally of the Most High with you, one which frames and devise mischief by deceit, that by decree, right? Yeah. And they frame mischief by decrees, different laws, different things. And that's what they're coming in to do. Bring in these things so they can set up this law, split up the count for the vote, bring in who they want to bring in, right? So now it'll go back to where, where you can no longer say anything against a white man in court, right? And this is kind of where they're taking it to, This is why a lot of the MAGA is with it, right? Because it'll make them feel like, yeah, I got that power back. But the Lord's not gonna let that happen like that, because they don't know that they're in the trick bag too, because the elites don't give a damn about them either. It's all the for that Novus Ordo Secloria, man, and it's only for the elite. for the rich. They don't care about. They hate the poor, right? You know, and they decree mischief by decree under the scarce sacred under the sacred name of the lost, right? See how that is? And see, and the law is meant to be sacred, which you're talking about the law of the Most High, right? But they're not talking about doing it by the law of the Most High, even though they say that they're a God-fearing nation, this and this and that, but they never go by the law of the Most High, right? You know, but that's pretty much what they're saying. Oh, we're gonna put our thing, and it's gonna be by the law of justice. But it's their own laws, right? Things that fit their narrative, and they're gonna call it justice. But that doesn't add up with truth, right? Because the law is meant to be sacred, and the Lord's going to show you how sacred the law, statutes, and commandments are of this book, right? Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. I like how it says Assyrians is God's instrument, right? Which, that's true too. Because what the modern or the spiritual Assyrians right now is Esau Edom, right? And this is all a setup to bring punishment upon you Jakes, which is bringing in Jacob's trouble. So they are the instrument of the Lord to bring your punishment, but they're going to fall into the ditch that they dug for you as well, because you are going to get punished. You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right? It says woe, right? Which means they're going to get judged. Woe, which means judgment unto them that decree, right? See, unrighteous decrees, right? And then call it under the sacred law. They have these different things, and this is all to bring in the micro CHIP, right? You know, it says, but what they're going to get a judgment. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness, right? When you're passing laws saying that you have to get a car that has a camera and it has to face this thing, and you have to do all these different things, and none of your life is private. You're under constant surveillance, right? Even if you drive in your car, right? You know, you can't even pick your booger anymore without someone knowing what's going on, right? They want to have you under constant surveillance, right? That's them saying the law of justice, man. Right? You ain't gonna have any rights, right? Oh yeah, digital IDs, right? So your wallet, your everything. This is part of how they want to have everything. That AI is going to be the law of justice, right? It's going to be able to, penalize you here, penalize you. It's going to be able to, because a human has to sleep. And even if they did get someone on a thing where they could watch the computer, they could watch monitors or whatever, people miss something. But guess what? The AI is not going to miss a thing, right? The way you walk, the way you talk, oh, that's a penalty. You do this, oh, that's a penalty. Nope, you can't buy this at the store. They're going to have complete total control over everything, Ultimately, it's a way to try to wipe out, the Israelites, right? Trying to offset prophecy. So that's what they're writing. The grievousness which they have prescribed, right? And that's their advice, and they're prescribing it, and they're doing it, right? Let's see what.
Strong's H 3789. Kathav.
Yeah, Kathav, to write records, right? See, and that's what it is. It's a record. It's basically they're putting it into law to write, to inscribe, to engrave. What are they engraving? Going to be the micro CHIP, but it's also what? It's also their laws that they're saying that they're going to frame it. They're going to use the law to be their strength. So when they're closing you in on all sides, as far as where you could go, no, you have to have the digital ID or you can't go to work, right? And you can't work, then you can't pay for things, then you can't have a home, you can't have things. So they're going to close you in on all sides, right? Means you can't buy a vehicle. When you go buy your vehicle, you got to drive that vehicle to work, being surveillance. You got to come home, your house is surveillance. You go to work, it's all surveillance. Everything is going to be under complete and total scrutiny. And the things that they told you, when we were younger, they talked about Big Brother, and you go, oh yeah, they got this stuff, that's Big Brother. But you didn't know how bad it is, because they have lights, they have cameras at every stoplight already. So you think, oh well, no, they're gonna have in your car, in your house, everywhere. So, but it's part of what the law to write down, describe in writing, right? To register. Oh, right. Oh, I like that. Right? To register, enroll records. Oh my God. Hey, is that not what they're telling you to do? Get the digital ID and you're going to enroll in records. You're going to enroll yourself into the system so it has everything about you, right? From top to bottom, where you were born, when you think, your credit score, your thing, everything about you, right? Medical records, dental records, arrest records, every record, right? This is going to the digital age. This is the time of that technocracy, huh? Yeah, I'm coming back here to Isaiah 10. This is amplified version now. Of course, like I said, the top says Syrian, God's instrument, which he is. He's going to be the instrument that the Lord used to punish you, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, because like they said, they hate the poor righteous man anyway, right? And that's where you're at. You're in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations, and the Edomite hates you Jakes, no matter what. You could think you could love the devil, but he don't love you back. That's his plan. When the Lord's going to use him to punish you, right? And it says, "Oh, woe!" But as the Lord used him to punish you, he's about to get a punishment himself. So, woe! Judgment is coming to those judges, right? See, that's what he said. Let the justice be our law. But the Lord said, woe! What judgment is coming to those judges? And that's what they're saying that they are. They're saying they're the judges of the world. They're basically the stewards, right? Starting with the elite. From the elite on down, they're the stewards of the world. And then they have their minions, their people underneath them, going all the way down, right? Who ensue evil, right? And that's them. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and all they do is ever ensue evil, right? Because that's what this thing is all about, right? Evil statutes, and to those magistrates, right?
Magistrates.
Yeah, it's a magistrate. Magistrate is a civil officer or judicial officer with limited authority, right? And that's like your lower, your governor, your mayor, the lower, because these other people are federal, right? And they're the top people, but they're bringing it all the way on down to the regular level, right? And they're going to chop it all up, take away the ability for the so-called black vote to have any power, right? Showing you that these devils don't like you, right? Because see, the black vote always helped the other people, right? Though Issachar and this so-called Latin demographic didn't realize that it was always the so-called black vote that got them any type of freedom here, got them where they're at now. But they're about to take that away, so that means even you're not gonna have anything. So you're gonna, and then you've seen what Jake did. Jake realized you've always had hate for them, and so when it was time to come to your aid, they didn't show up. So how much more is that gonna happen now when it's gonna be all out hell, and it's gonna be every man for themselves, right, so to speak, except for the elect, right? The elect knows what we have brothers from the northern kingdom to the southern kingdom, you know, and we even got Israelite foreigners who look like other nations, who have their phenotype look like another nation, but their bloodline, their seed line, ultimately the spirit of Yahweh Bashar Shai is dwelling in them, right? That breath, that the Wah is upon them, the smearing, the unction, right? The ranking, right, is upon them. So yeah, we're good, Lord willing, part of that number. But a lot of you, it's going to be all out, every man for himself situation, right? Because they're bringing it down to even to the lower level with law, with limited authority to administrate the law, overseeing minor, lower court system, mayor and governor, or governor and mayor, and civil criminal cases, and so they're taking that away too, Yeah, continue on. Who could consistently consistently record unjustly? See, and that's what they're telling you to put the micro. Okay, the digital ID is not the micro C. I mean, it's not the micro C hip, and it's not the mark of the beast. But we know that's where they're headed, right? So once they start making it mandatory that you have to put it underneath your skin, that's going to be records unjust, right? Which they already have. Technically, this is kind of pretty much unjust too, right? To surveillance you everywhere. Like one of the brothers said that you're supposed to be allowed to sit in your house with your underwear on. That's the law. That's what the Lord gave you. Your house is your private. Your private domain. Let things be done decently and in order. When I'm in my house, I should be able to do what I do in my house. You know what I mean? Whether illegal or legal, it's none of your business until I get caught. But see, what you're doing is you're trying to be God. You're trying to what's the thing? I know he was calling it precog, but in the movie, the system was a precog system, right? Which basically cognition, pre meaning before, cog meaning the mind being able to see, and then but it was it's called Minority Report in that movie. So you're basically trying to see and do everything, and so you could say you could predict crime before it happens, and you have the law as your strength. And now you could just arrest people or not arrest, or you could turn off their ability to survive at a whim, at a flip of or a push of a button, because you're God. Now you're God on earth, and you'll be the only society to ever been able to have that power. Even though you go all the way back to Pharaoh when he thought he was a god, and all these other, but this proves that we're at the end. Because the devil is being revealed, because you're sitting in the temple, saying that he is God, right? This proves that you're saying you are God, but you're not, right? And then who oppressive decisions? Yep, and that's what they're doing. Oppressive decisions, right? Right. And all the things that they make, and whatever decision, whichever way you go, there's nowhere for you to go. You're closed in on all sides. Pressure from above, pressure from beneath. You know what I mean? Basically, order out of chaos. There's no place for you to go. For them, because especially those who don't believe in Yahweh Bashar Shai, you don't have a choice. You have to bow down to this or die, right? Yeah. So this is Isaiah 29 and verse 20. It's the Amplified version now. It says, for the tyrant will come to an end, right? And that's what you're coming to your end. This is the end. This is the end of Esau, right? Right? Because ultimately, though you are the Lord's whooping stick against Jake, this is ultimately your end. Jacob's trouble is a telltale sign that we're at your end, right? You're coming down with great wrath, knowing that you have but a short time, but your wrath and you're locking everything in. And it's a telltale sign that it's your end. Right? So it says, and the scorner will be finished. Right? And you're finished. You're finished, Esau. You're finished, Edom. Esau, Edom, you are finished. Right? Indeed, all who are intent on doing evil will be cut off. And that's you. You intend to continue to do evil. Once you get the entire world, let's just say you got everybody, which you're not going to get the elect, but let's just say you did. Let's just say you got even the elect, and now the Lord has no reason to come back, and the Lord just say, hey, I guess you got the planet, man. Forget it. You could just keep on ruling. Are you going to change? And all of a sudden, now you could. Well, now I don't have to do all this wickedness because I did what I needed. I only needed to do that just so I can get the world. So now I'm just gonna have all this. You're not going to be righteous, man. Nothing's ever going to be right under you, right? People are going to be getting grievous sores. You're still not going to be able to cure the C word, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's no good, no bueno under you, man. It's not good. All right. Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And I'm going to do KJV right here first. And it says, and he had power to give life unto the image, right? Image basically is the charagma, right? And the image is basically the charagma, but it also goes back to the Roman Empire, right? And the Roman Empire didn't have the power to engulf the entire whole world at that time. But being that it's the second leg of Rome with the deadly wound that was healed and it returned, which it's in this chapter. If you go up, it'll tell you the one with the deadly wound that was healed, which that would be the Roman Empire. And it came back as NATO, EU, and America, which, I know people take that, because Russia's not necessarily part of it, but then they were, because Russia was some of the people who did fight to help Israel get into that land, right? When you go into a lot of the history, go back, Russia did help Israel get into the land. So they were part of helping forward the Balfour Declaration, right? That's not necessarily all in history, but if you go into a history of who fought in that war, Russia was one of the ones who actually helped as well. So, and they are Edomites, right? But all that had to happen to come to this point now, right? And it says, and had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? And that fourth beast, which, like I said, the Roman Empire, but also is this beast system now, right? Because they actually have the technology to encompass the entire world. Now, in order to use this technocracy, the technology to surveillance everyone, to have it under full control, right? The image of the beast and the image of the beast should both speak, right? And cause that as many, right? And it's going to speak through where? Through AI. They show you that in that movie, is it Elysium? What's his name had to go see his probation officer, and his probation officer was basically an AI, and then it was able to detect his stress level. Are you getting angry, sir? Should I call the police? And dude had to chill out, calm. No, it's okay. No, it's all right. And he had to suck it up, even though the other AI system, which were the actual police officers, which they plan on doing that too, putting actual robots as police out there, and it broke his arm, right? So that's the AI that's speaking. It's speaking, right? It's in your car. You're going to be driving, and you're going to say, oh, you're unfit to drive the car. It's going to shut your car down and then pull you off into the side of the road because you're unfit. It's AI. It's speaking, right? Basically saying that's the strength of their law. That's why they're going to bring in the strength of their law, right? But first, they got to bring in the chaos. They got to bring in, the uncertainty of being able to eat, where place you're going to sleep, how you're going to provide. They got to do that because what it tells you that in Revelations, I think it's 6, he took peace from the entire earth. And see, now that makes more sense than a little bit now, because through this Strait of Hormuz blockage, and then they're talking about blocking some other strait where a lot of oil comes through. I forgot the name of it at this time, but they're talking about blocking both parts. and then just saying, hey, oh well, there's no goods going out, there's no oil, there's no way, oh nope, there's no jobs. Oh well, AI is going to take over your jobs. Oh well, not giving a fuck about the people, right? As that's happening, what's happening? People are getting stressed out, people are getting worried, people are getting agitated, and people are going to lash out. Well, now you got chaos. Now I get to come in, let the stock market crash, drop the dollar, bring in, and they're going to drop all the dollars. It's not just America. It's not the U.S. dollar. Stop falling into the bullish, of all these other people. All the dollars are going to collapse. The Chinese dollar, the Russian dollar, every dollar. They're supposed to be beefing with them. Every dollar is going to collapse. They're going to bring in the digital dollar for the entire world. Right? So this is how they're going to be able to have that complete control over the entire world. It's going to speak and cause that as many as would not worship, right? Because some people ain't going to go down and get down with putting the micro C hip in them, right? That as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? Put to death, right? And it says, this is amplified. It says, and he is given power to give breath to the image of the beast, right? And saying that's the left-handed priesthood. That's their spirit. That's their breath. That's their there's the wa on the left-hand side as far as being able to bring it in and then have this be the priest. Have this be a like I said, they had that in that movie. It was called Precog, which basically saying they could tell the future, or even the Palantir. Basically, it represents being able to see in the future. Basically, like be a prophet, right? So their left-handed priesthood is this AI system, right? And then to the image of the beast, right, which is the Roman Empire, right? So that the image of the beast will even appear to speak, and that's the system, right? It's gonna be, hey, sir, you don't have any I don't know how they, you don't have any credits, you don't have any carbon footprint credits. You can't take the bus. But we got this handy dandy scooter over here you could take. You got just the amount of points that you could maybe take this scooter, or you can walk. Something. This is how they want to do it, man. Right? And it appears to speak because it's a machine. A machine can't really speak. It's just a machine. But because of the technology, it's speaking to you. You hear the things. It sounds really robotic, but they're even getting it down to where it's not even sounding robotic. Right? It's sounding like you're actually talking to a person. It's able to answer questions and, like, hey, man. Because I call one place, hey, I'm Rosie the freaking AI system. And I can talk to you in full sentences. You just go ahead and ask me and talk to me and tell me how you want to. And I'll talk. And the thing actually responded, like almost like a person. Hey, man. And that's the time who it says, and cause of those who do not bow down and worship the image of the beast should be put to death, right? And that's the time that you're living in, right? Which is going into the time of that Novus Ordo Seclorum, right? And says, and he called of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, right? Right, and that's ultimately what it is. This is the Amplified version, right? Revelations 13:16 Amplified version, and he compels, right? So when you got the Strait of Hormuz jammed up and all the other things jammed up, it's going to compel everybody to right in the direction that they want them to go. Chaos, then they're going to have the answer. Chaos, and then the order. Chaos, then the order. Well, I don't have it. I got something for you. Here's this. Oh, you know that? Oh, here's digital ID. Oh, you don't have that? I got digital this. Oh, you need to call into, you need court. You need to talk to a judge. Call into this thing and talk to this digital judge. Or we'll set you up on a thing where you go to Skype and you'll see the judge on the Skype, right? And then even if you see an actual person, that person can't tell you anything because he still has to listen to the AI to give you a judgment. You have a doctor, you might have a real person, but the person can't diagnose you on his own. He has to wait for AI to give the diagnosis, and then he'll give it to you. But he's only giving it to you through AI, so it's speaking. It's gonna be doing all the decisions, right? But that's how they compel the small, and the great, and the rich, and the poor, and the free men, and the slaves, right? Which everybody's once you do this, you're all slaves, right? Once you get the micro C hip, you're all slaves anyway, right? To be given a mark, charagma, Karax, Grapho, or Graph, Grapho, Karax, Charagma, Karax, Grapho, right? On their right hand or in their forehead or your left hand, right? Because in England, I believe they do the left hand. It could be your right hand, your left hand, right? Because if you go to Revelation 14:9, it says hands, plural. The next chapter, it says hands. So your one right hand is not hands, plural. Your right hand or your left hand will be hands, plural, right? So it says, right hand or forehead, right? The Neuralink, right? The Elon Musk, right? The Neuralink. And it says, signifying the allegiance, right? To the beast system, right? And that it's not singling, signifying, it is the allegiance. It's basically, it's the allegiance to Esau ruling your world through AI, through all the madness that he has, right? That he has got going, right? And he's never going to stop being evil or wicked. It's you know what I mean? Once they already have power of the world. But like I said, what do you give a person who has all the power? What do you give a person who has everything? The only thing left is to take the souls of men. The only thing left is to just push the limits of how much you could control. I mean, push people to the brink of insanity because you can, and because ain't nothing gonna happen to you, right? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and if it come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, your achwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and the Bible ball, Kwam Yasharallah.